Hello, how are you? My name is Pereira, and today I'll be telling you the story of the 2025 Iberian wildfires. So, it has been one of the most destructive environmental events Europe has seen in decades. By August, Spain and Portugal were facing lots of fires that they were even visible from space. What happened during those weeks? It gives us a picture of how climate change and the collapse of various ecosystem services because of climate change are changing the world. So in early August, the Iberian Peninsula was seen to be entered into a pretty much normal dry season, which does occur sometimes, until the heat, wind, and the drought conditions really made it the perfect storm. So very quickly, the fires weren't really isolated; they were all across the continent. People everywhere, from west to the east, were having problems with fires. So for 16 days straight, the temperatures were going all the way up to 45 degrees Celsius across Spain and Portugal. This is one of the longest and most intense heat waves that has ever occurred in the region. The forest dried to a point where, like, a single spark could make the entire forest burn down. The heat wave created the exact conditions that we learned about in Module 6, where climate change amplifies the temperature um, all the way to the 45 degrees, and it destabilizes the normal weather patterns that occur because of the drought and the heat. So by August, about 4,000 square kilometers had been burned down in Spain and over 2,600 in Portugal, which is way larger than the historical averages. One of the fires in Spain were expanded over 4,000 hectares of per hour at its fastest time. The communities that usually experience small seasonal fires, that it's normal for some places to have fires now and then, but they were really consumed by the fire in a matter of days. So the human deaths came pretty quickly. Over 31 people were evacuated in Spain alone. Seven deaths were confirmed early on, and the transportation system in both of the countries were collapsed. NASA reported that many high-speed railway had been shutting down, mostly because the tracks were going through the places that were being burned or had been burned by the fires. The smoke blanketed cities so much that the residents in most of northern Portugal were saying that the visibility was crazy. Pretty much you like fog, except it's not fog; it's smoke. Um, 6. So Spain was battling around 14 major fires at the same time, and Portugal called in the EU Civil Protection Mechanism, which is they called in firefighters, aircraft, and from other European countries because part of the European Union. This level of the cooperation between the countries, it shows how the when an environmental disaster occurs, they ignore like borders and individual nations, and they just try to work together. So the climate changes where it connects to Module 6. According to the World Weather Attribution, the conditions that drove the fires were 50 times more likely to have occurred by the human-driven climate change. In a pre-industrial climate, uh, if something like this were to happen, it would be pretty much impossible. The heat wave that occurred over the peninsula was the most intense ever reported in Spain. So it wasn't really bad luck. It was more what humans had caused on the climate. So the fires, it showed how the ecosystem services can collapse when it is stressed. Um, the forests, they hold carbon, and when they're burned down, they can't do that very well. So it even worsens the carbon in the air, and the greenhouse gases heating is even worsened. It's pretty much a cycle. So less forest, more global warming, more fires, which kills the more forest. So the the smoke was spreading beyond Spain and Portugal and into other places in Europe like France. And this is an example of transboundary environmental impacts, which we covered in Module 11. And so climate wasn't really um, the first cause to make the fires worse. It was because of the conditions that global warming had caused them to do, which made it unavoidable. The ecosystem services were pushed beyond their limits, past what they could do, and the human system, which was the responses, the firefighter aircraft were had to be deployed to save them. So for the final message, the 2025 Iberian wildfires is more than just a dramatic headline. It's showing us one of the many um, real outcomes of global warming and climate change that humans have put onto the earth. And so the world is changing even faster because of the things that we have done to it. And then these are my references. For the first few are going to be for the pictures, and the last 5 for the text. Thank you.